It's that time again. Today we're taking a look at some unique, unusual, and one-of-a-kind everyday carry gear items. This is one of my favorite series to do, so let's just dive right in. First up, we have a limited edition side click pen from Tactile Turn. They are easily my favorite pen manufacturer out there. My bolt action from them is hands down my favorite. One of the main things that set them aside from everyone else is their CNC work. They have these milled ridges along the pen that give it this really great grip. This goes another step beyond that. It's a limited edition release. It's their 16-bit pen. It's kind of designed to look like an old Super Nintendo with the gray and purple. The colors are obviously really fun, but it's not just a simple painted type of design. This is a custom Cerakote finish that they've put on here. You also have this extra milling on the pen clip that is a really nice extra touch. You know, and the side click pen doesn't use a bolt action mechanism. It has a side button. They really did an excellent job here. This is something you easily could have cheaped out on and still gotten a ton of love for, but all of the same quality of the normal Tactile Turn stuff is here, just plus the extra fun bonus. It's a titanium body underneath the Cerakote, so you get a little bit of extra weight, but it's still very lightweight overall from the titanium body. Writes like a dream. It feels like a dream. I love the ridges. I can also really appreciate their promo photos that they have on their website for this. You know, it's just Cheetos and Pokemon cards and stuff. They definitely know their audience for anyone that would be interested in this. I didn't personally have a Super Nintendo. I went from regular Nintendo to N64, but I had some friends that I used to hang out after school every day in elementary school and go play, you know, Street Fighter all the time. What a great era. They did such a good job with this. It's so fun. Definitely go check it out. Next up is the Lochby Field Folio. This is a zippered version of their classic field journal. If you've been around the channel for a while, you know I'm a huge fan of Lochby. I think they're bringing a lot of really great quality and some unique designs at a really great price, a true standout compared to most of the stuff I've seen. I've used quite a few of their smaller form factor journals. This is a full A5 size, so it's much larger. It measures 10 inches in length, 6.7 inches wide, and 1 inch thick, you know, somewhat dependent on how much you fill it with, but it is the classic Lochby, you know, wax canvas exterior. I feel like that is their main selling point and definitely what they do best and what so few others are doing. Just brings that little bit of extra heritage touch and style I really appreciate. You have a full zipper closure compared to the buckles that are on a lot of their different styles. You have a little handle here to carry as well as an exterior back pocket if you wanted to use it. Getting on the inside though, you do have quite a few other things going for it. First and foremost is this honeycomb ripstop type of pattern that they have for the interior fabric. Really big fan of that. The yellow is extra visibility, and I've just really been growing to like yellow stuff lately. I don't know if you can tell, yellow and orange has been creeping in more and more. On either side, you have quite a few pockets for organization. You have one behind here as well, and a little horizontal pen slot. Flipping over to the back side, you can easily store some extra notebooks. You know, I have my books note tablet stored back here. You have some elastics to be able to keep the journals in place too, which is a really nice touch. They claim you can fit up to 4. I really love this though. It's just a bigger version of the other Lochby items I've tried. So if you've been in the market or wanting, you know, something a little bit larger and you like the style and the idea, you know, this is about as good as it gets. It comes out to about $60. It does come with one notebook. You could obviously fill in with whatever other notebooks if you have a preference of style. But just really great quality. If you like that wax canvas sort of look and feel, these are one of the few brands that are really bringing it. Got a sling bag up next. This is the Indie from Andar. This is a full grain leather sling bag. Again, something that you don't normally see that often. We're so used to Cordura, ripstop nylon, and ripstop poly. Having a full grain leather, you know, in that sort of traditional sling style is just something that isn't seen very often. It's a little bit smaller in size than I typically prefer or am used to. It's about 8 inches wide, 5 inches tall, and 2.5 inches deep. I think this is a perfect option for summer if you're a sling bag carrier. Being a little bit smaller, I feel like it has a much lighter presence on your body. You know, if you're wearing lighter weight clothes and things like that. I also think it's a little bit of a step up in style if you're trying to go a little bit dressier, but still want to bring a bag with you. Other than the leather though, you have a lot of really great materials. All of the hardware is brass, and you have a really nice canvas strap. I believe they have the option can upgrade to a leather strap if you want, but you have a really nice canvas on the interior as well. Organization is super simple. You have one zippered external pocket and you have one zippered internal pocket along with a couple of small pouches. Very simple, hold your phone or sunglasses and a few other things. I'm used to, more of like a 4 to 6 liter capacity. This is probably like 1.5 or 2 liters. They don't have the exact measurements on the website, but I thought it would be really good to bring up here because it is something that I just don't really see very often. I've been on the hunt for, really good quality, wax canvas or leather sling bags, and it's just pretty slim pickings out there. I've seen a few limited edition runs that come and go really fast. This seems to be a permanent item for them. I've had it for over a year. It's not my go-to always, but it's really nice for those occasions where you want to dress up or you want just a little bit of a smaller presence of a bag on you. Really quick though, before our next item, I want to take a quick minute to talk about my favorite new speakers, the SVS Prime Wireless Pros. SVS was also kind enough to sponsor this week's video as well, so a huge thanks to them. These are a pair of active bookshelf speakers. Not only do they sound absolutely amazing, but they're so versatile and offer a few features I rarely see in this category. If you caught my video last month, I've had them set up at my desk since I got them, but I really wanted to see how they compare as a soundbar replacement in my living room. I was honestly a bit sad taking them off my desk. I've gotten really used to them for gaming and just truly wish I had a second pair to be able to have them in both places. That being said, it was well worth it for the comparison. They blew me away with how much better they sound than my soundbar out in my living room. I doubt my microphone and YouTube's compression can do justice for these, but I was honestly so shocked. I have them paired with the 3000 Micro Subwoofer to cover the sub bass and fill out the low end. The wider soundstage from the stereo pair and the subwoofer filling out the rest of the sound makes my soundbar setup sound so thin and tinny in comparison. Paired with my new OLED I talked about the other week, I think it's the closest I am ever going to get to like a home theater setup in my small city apartment. Sound is only half the story here though. Connectivity is equally impressive. Obviously good connections for a desk setup, but you also have HDMI eARC for a TV or theater setup, along with a ton of wireless options. The Prime Wireless Pros are Bluetooth compatible, but also AirPlay 2, Chromecast, Spotify Connect, even multi-room audio with DTS Play-Fi devices. They also work for voice commands with Siri, Alexa, Hey Google, perfect for room speakers in your living room or your home office. They're truly a 10 out of 10 for me. I did not expect such a huge difference moving them out to my living room. I've got some really tough decisions ahead to figure out where I want these to end up permanently. Be sure to check the link in the description down below if you want to learn more for yourself or pick up some of the Prime Wireless Pros. Huge thanks again to SVS for sponsoring this week's video. Although this watch is really unique, I did a big video about it a while back. We're actually talking about this strap. This is the Artem Hydroflex watch strap. Similar to the indie sling bag we talked about, I've actually had this for about a year as well and just haven't gotten around to talking about it. Artem calls it Hydroflex. On the outside, you have a typical sailcloth type of style for the watch strap, but underneath you have an FKM rubber. So it's almost like two straps sewn together in one. It feels and looks surprisingly premium. I really wasn't sure to expect. This also has a really steep price point. It comes out to $220. It's the most expensive strap I've ever owned or tested or used. If I'm looking to spend a lot on a strap, I would typically go for a metal strap or a really good quality leather. That's why I was a bit hesitant with the pricing of this. That being said, I do see the benefit of something like this as an alternative. I think it's a much better fit for a dive watch or if you're doing any sort of, aquatic sports or anything, because you obviously don't want to be using metal or leather for something like that. And a lot of, FKM rubber straps just look incredibly casual and sporty. Looks aside, this strap is extremely, extremely comfortable. I can't stress that enough. It is one of the most comfortable straps I've ever worn. All of the stitching looks really great. You have a stainless steel buckle, you have spring bars so you can take it on and off really easily. I do have a really tough time with the price though, but I think that is more of a me problem than an an everyone type of problem. $200 for a strap is a lot for the prices of watches that I typically wear. I wear a lot of Casios and stuff that's under $100. But I think if you're someone that has, a Rolex or some, $10,000+ watch, a couple $100 on a strap is absolutely nothing when you look at it that way. So I think if you're into luxury watches and want a luxury strap to go along with it, and you want something that's not metal or leather, I think this is a really great choice. But for a lot of us that aren't getting, super high-end watches like that, it might be a tough pill to swallow. But if you can swing it, I think it's a great looking strap and it is incredibly comfortable. Got a flashlight up next. This is the brand new X4 from WUBEN. It is currently on Kickstarter. I think there's a few days left, so check it out if you end up being interested after hearing about it. But this is another in the X series. The X1 and X2 and X3 are some of my favorite flashlights out there. The X4 is no exception, but definitely a little bit different and a much lower price point than most of their others. It comes out to $45. I think you sacrifice some of the really great aesthetics of the higher end models, but you get a lot of features here for a really low price point. 1500 lumens of max output. You don't have a low, medium, or high. You actually have a stepless wheel that you can spin around. The wheel itself feels really good. In addition to the main torchlight though, you also have a side light that has 100 lumens max with a warm white light, but you also have a little RGB on the bottom. You can turn that into sort of like a warning SOS light or go through 7 different RGB colors. Size is definitely in the middle of the road. You have 3.77 inches in length, 1.47 inches wide, and just over an inch thick, weighs 4.83 ounces or 137 grams. Like I said, this is a very function first design, a little bit more of a tactical basic type of look. I like some of those design finishes that they have on the X0 and the X1, the X2, the X3. You don't have as many of those here, which is a bit of a bummer, but you definitely save a lot of money, which is also really nice. So pros and cons type of thing. I tend to favor design more than a lot of other people, I think. There are a ton of really great features at this price point though. I can definitely respect the decisions that are made. You have a fully removable and replaceable 18650 battery inside that fully locks with a physical switch. The actual light locks as well with a physical switch, which is a welcomed addition. No burning a hole in your pockets, and you can also easily take out that battery whenever you need without any extra tools or problems. You have USB-C recharging. The port's actually hidden by the operation switch, which is a really nice touch. You have a super strong magnet on the bottom, IP68 dust and water resistance, and a really excellent pocket clip on the side. All in all, if you're looking for the most features and quality possible in this price range, I think this is one of the best. Got a new knife up next, the Montana Knife Company Speedgoat 2.0. It is a fixed blade knife, not something that I test or try a lot of around here, not something that I typically carry every day for myself personally. I love fixed blade knives for camping and like outdoor backcountry type of adventures. Getting in some of the specs here, it's 7 7/8 inches in total length with a 3.75 inch blade. I thought this was a Cerakote finish when I first got it, but it's actually a Parkerized finish on a 52-100 carbon steel blade. It is incredibly lightweight. It only weighs 48 grams or 1.7 ounces. It honestly feels even lighter than that. I think because underneath here is just sort of a skeleton type of handle. They have 550 paracord wrapped around. I believe they said it was 7 feet of it, which is a really nice addition. Always good to have some emergency paracord if you're out and about. Like I said, knives like this are generally, camp knives and backcountry knives more so than like everyday carry around the city. That being said, I love the design. I love the weight. I think the ergo is really nice. I looked up some of the changes. I didn't have the original Speedgoat, but the 2.0, they added this little notch here. I think that gives you just a lot of really good leverage and grip without any risk of slipping and cutting your finger off. Really nice touch. Montana Knife Company is also 100% made in America, which is really great. So not just manufactured, but I believe all of the materials are sourced in America too. This is my first time testing anything from them. They have a pretty big lineup. I actually got a kitchen knife as well that I've been using for the past several months. Really happy with that, and I'll probably talk about it at some point in a more relevant video. But the quality here is absolutely excellent. They seem like really great guys run the company. They have a ton of great content out there for how they make everything and showing its use in the field. Really cool. You get a really great sheath with it as well. I know some sheaths are kind of hit or miss. I have a Gerber Principal knife that I've had in my backcountry kit for a while. I really hate the sheath on that. This feels so much better. Let me know in the comments though, do you EDC a fixed blade? I know there are quite a few of you out there. I'd love to hear, why you prefer it over a folding blade. I assume it's just some sort of situational work type of thing, but I'd love to get that discussion going. Continuing on the Made in America front, we've got some deerskin gloves from Sullivan Gloves. Even better than Made in America, they're actually made in Oregon in a town called Bend, a little bit east of me, one of my favorite areas of the state. I've really grown to love high desert ecosystem since moving out here. It was very foreign to me coming from Michigan. I find myself going out to that part of the state more and more for camping. I can't get enough and really got to make my way down to the Southwest, Arizona, New Mexico, something like that. But the reason I want to talk about these, having a good pair of unlined, summer weight gloves for general chores. Similar to the fixed blade knife, I generally use gloves a lot for camp chores, processing wood and stuff like that. So not a normal EDC type of thing for me, but definitely much more frequently in these nicer months as I get out camping as much as I possibly can. The specific gloves I have here from Sullivan though are called the Deerskin Shorty with the vintage stitching. Really impressed and happy with the quality here. It's 2.5 to 3 ounce American deerskin. It's actually drum dyed in the US as well, and they're all made in Bend, Oregon. I did a bit of a deep dive on Sullivan gloves as well. They were started in 1941 by Edward Sullivan. They were originally making gloves for shipbuilders during the war. Really cool to see a company with that staying power still making stuff and still making stuff in the US, but these are super soft, super comfortable and stretchy. They're definitely nice and lightweight, perfect for, summer chores and that sort of thing. They have a few different models and versions available. I have very long fingers for my overall hand size. I think these fit pretty well. I got a medium. A lot of times I'm a large or an extra large. They said to kind of size these a bit small because the deerskin is super stretchy. Medium fits me well with super long fingers. I do know they have, I think it's the Roper gloves. They're designed for shorter fingers and bigger hands. So depending on what you need, they probably have something for you there. But I've talked a lot about winter gloves and have been on the hunt for some just really good summer chore gloves for camping. And I think I found some real winners here. Got some sunglasses up next. These are the limited edition Smokey Bear Camp Glacier sunglasses. I think it's the Oregon in me, but I'm a sucker for Smokey Bear anything. If you've been around the channel for a while, you probably already know that. I meant to pick these up last year when I saw the release. I saw them this year, had to grab some, and I am so happy I did. First off, Smokey Bear side, I love the look of these. They have some real 70s dad energy, which I can absolutely get behind. I'm really impressed with the quality of the glasses overall though. It's a plant-based bioplastic for the frames that feels and looks really nice. But outside of that, there are a lot of really nice, intricate details here for the Smokey Bear collab. You have only you etched into the lenses themselves, but you also have this really nice, walnut etched inlay on the side. I think they look awesome and just had some really nice detail that you can't really see unless you're up really close. So it's meant for you as the wearer, which I can absolutely appreciate. I also love aviator styles that are a little more squared off. That's just a personal thing with my face shape though, so it just depends on what looks good on you. One of my favorite extra and completely unnecessary things though, the sunglass case looks like a little sleeping bag. You also get a custom Smokey Bear microfiber with it, which is fun, but I just absolutely love this. It actually does have some sort of insulation in there, so it's like a little puffy jacket or sleeping bag. Very nice touch, very fun looking sunglasses, and Smokey Bear aside, I think they look really cool. Definitely have been filling in my 70s aesthetic I've been going for more and more lately. Definitely check them out if you're looking for some Smokey Bear collab stuff or just some really good yellow tinted sunglasses. But on that note, that is the end of the list. Really fun stuff today. You can definitely tell summer is coming. I'm getting that outdoorsman energy in me. I tend to nerd out and just be a little gremlin playing video games all winter long. And then once the weather starts getting better, I try and get out as much as absolutely possible. So gearing up, looking forward to that. Maybe I'll make some, more videos about that type of stuff down the road. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know what you're carrying as well. Thank you all so much for watching though, and I'll talk to you in the next one.